I'm Koen, and today is of course very exciting because it's the beginning of the official Eurovision week. The second semifinal is coming up, as well as the first semifinal. I'm recording this video on the 7th of May, which is the day just after the second rehearsals of the semifinals. And like I said in my previous video, there have been lots of technical difficulties. For example, the big broken kinetic sun in the middle of the stage. I gotta say, I'm pretty surprised by the fact that a big 5 country is hosting, which, you know, is one of the countries that supports the song contest the most financially. So I would kind of expect things to go smoothly. Maybe that's just me jumping to conclusions, but I don't know. I think it's pretty disappointing, but I'm still hoping for the best, for things to work out the way the artists and delegations wanted to work out for the big nights. But anyway, let's move on to my predictions, my thoughts before the second semifinal. I'm going to start with the countries that I think are least likely to qualify and move up to my definite qualifiers. So let's start with the countries I think are least likely to qualify. First of all, we have North Macedonia. I gotta say, props to Andrea for standing on that stage on her own and not having anything but herself and her voice to perform. I mean, that's pretty cool. But despite that, I think that this song is going to end up on the last place of the semifinal. Unfortunately, I can't really see this entry qualify, if I'm honest. Then next up, Belgium. I feel like the song falls a bit flat. Maybe if the sun on the stage would have worked, they would have had a really cool staging, but with the way it looks in that rehearsal clip, I'm not too sure of a qualification for Belgium, if I'm honest. I don't really see that happening right now. Then also Malta. I think the ironic thing, sadly, about the fact that the sun is broken this year is that it's literally covering up the graphics on the lab wall of a literal sun, which is, well, disappointing. Let's just say that. I don't think the performance looks awful. I just don't think it feels that genuine. I kind of feel like it would have been perfect for Junior Eurovision, but not for the Eurovision Song Contest. I cannot really see this entry qualify, if I'm honest. Then Georgia. I had hope for Georgia, and maybe there still is a little, because we know Georgia can surprise us. I mean, look at 2016 when they were a surprise qualifier. That could still happen this year, but right now I'm going to say that Georgia is probably not qualifying, sadly. Okay, now let's move on to my possible qualifiers. First of all, we've got Azerbaijan. I think this staircase being used is very interesting. I don't think we can see that much in that rehearsal footage yet, but I think if the staging is memorable enough, that Azerbaijan is a good chance of qualifying. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do indeed have a very memorable staging, because they've got some really big props, so I think that they've thought out this staging pretty well, you know? Now Serbia. I am so scared that Serbia this year will be the Portugal of 2019. They seem to be very affected by that big broken LED sun, because they had some really cool graphics that really translated the message and story of the song, and I feel like they did have issues with that, but I also think that the way they solved it is also done pretty well. So I don't think there is no hope for Serbia. I think there's still hope for Serbia. I think there are still a possible qualifier, especially because of Constracta. Her charisma can really give Serbia that grand final spot, I think. Now Israel. So Israel did in the end travel to Turin for Eurovision, and Marvin Dietman took care of the staging for Israel this year, and I gotta say, he usually does not disappoint. I think Israel has more of a chance at qualifying right now, also because Michael Ben David performs really well. So yeah, I think Israel has a chance at being in the grand final this year again. Now Montenegro. I think Vladana looks really cool with that big special dress with that thing on her back. Apparently the way she wanted to tell her story of the song, which is about her mother who died last November, is not being translated well enough, at least not the way they wanted it to by the team behind Eurovision this year, which I think is a shame, because it's especially very painful if such a personal story is not translated the way we want it to, you know? But still, I think Vladana's voice and the fact that they have some special staging elements could still give Montenegro a place in the grand final. Now Poland. Amazing vocals from Ochman, like we all expected and know he has, but those special effects in the rehearsal footage, I'm sorry, I just think they're really funny. There are so many special effects, like in my opinion too many, which I personally think could really work in Poland's disadvantage disadvantage with an already pretty repetitive song. I think Poland could still qualify, but I think that would mostly be because of Ochman's vocals. And then also Cyprus. I am very happily surprised by the staging they've done with that big shell with the projections on it. I really like that. I gotta say that some camera angles do look kind of out of place, but I feel like they wanted to combine those projections on that big shell with some graphics on that LED wall that you can't really see anymore. Still, I think that Cyprus has a big chance of being in the grand final this year because of the way it's staged, and also because Andromachi's vocals sound really good. Now let's move on to my definite qualifiers. And first of all, we've got Ireland, and I gotta say I am so surprised in a good way that I can say that I think Ireland will be a definite qualifier. All of a sudden Ireland knows how to stage. Like what? This small clip from this rehearsal looks already so much better than that national final performance. Like Brooke's confidence and the pyro and just everything, the choreography. It looks so good, and I think that Ireland will be in the grand final this year, which I'm so happy about. I love this glow up. Then next we've got Romania. Romania also had some issues with the lyrics not being visible on the LED wall because of the broken sun in front of it, but they managed to solve this, and they also elevated the choreography of the performance compared to the national final, which they've done really well in my opinion. So I think that Romania will also definitely qualify to the grand final. Next up, Finland. The vocals have definitely improved. They're not the best, but I still think that they're good enough for Finland to qualify. Then also Czech Republic. Look, I think we've all seen that special effect with the lights all shutting off coming since the first time we listened to the song, but still it works really well. And for people hearing the song for the first time on the Eurovision stage and seeing the performance, this will definitely work in Czech Republic's favor because they will vote for that, I think. And also Czech Republic is the last song to be performed in the semifinal, so I definitely think that Czech Republic will qualify. I think a top 10 place in the grand final is very possible. Then next up, Estonia. I think Estonia also had some pretty big issues with that broken sun on the stage because it's really blocking their visuals and the scene they wanted to set on that stage. But I still think that despite those issues, Estonia will qualify because the song is very radio friendly. Stefan is a good singer, and I think that with that special filter that we've seen in the rehearsal footage, we still get the vibe and the scenery of the song and the staging, you know? Then next up, San Marino. San Marino has one of the most extra stagings this year. I mean, that Red Bull, which is called Roberta by the way. Are you kidding? One of its horns broke off though, but it's solved with duct tape. But still, despite all that, I think Achille Lauro is definitely going to give San Marino their best result ever this year. I think this staging will be one of the most memorable ones. Then Australia. I think Australia is definitely one of the big contenders to be the jury vote winner this year, just like they were in 2016. This staging looks so much better compared to the national final staging in my opinion, with that staircase and his outfit and Sheldon's vocals. Amazing. I definitely think that Australia will be at least in the top 3 of the jury vote in the grand final. And then finally, Sweden. Sweden is, I think, also an obvious qualifier. Sweden, like almost always, has a staging which is very similar to their national final staging, but just elevated a bit. Just like a lot of other countries, they did have a lot of technical difficulties in the rehearsals, but still, I think that won't keep them from qualifying. I think this is top 5 material. So that was my list of definite non-qualifiers, possible qualifiers, and definite qualifiers. But of course, I still have to predict my final 10 qualifiers. I have been saying that this semifinal was the weak one this year, but still, I think it's very difficult to pick 10 songs out of this semifinal for the grand final, but I'm still going to try. So here we go. I'm going to say Estonia, Czech Republic, San Marino, Australia, Sweden, Finland, Ireland, Romania, Cyprus, and Serbia, because I believe Constructa can do this. So those are my thoughts before the second semifinal. What are your thoughts before the second semifinal, and what are your qualifiers? Let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you really enjoy the shows. I know I will. And I also hope that the technical difficulties will be solved. I really hope that. And yeah, that's about all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully until next time. Bye.